Hi guys, so welcome to this video. In this section we will do the hands-on coding on the headers exchange. In the previous video we understand the header exchange, how it works, and we understood the different components like producer, headers, exchange, the queues and consumers, how they are related, what are the header parameters and the messages. So this we have understood in the previous tutorial, and now we will do the hands-on coding. Let's go through the our project setup. So in our project I have my this pom.xml. I am currently using Java 11, and in this as a dependency I have added this Spring Boot dependency, like Spring Boot starter AMQP, and this web. Now we will start creating different components, and we will make it work. Okay, now let's start with the queues. It's the simplest one. We'll start with the queues. We'll create electronics, garments and the food queue. Okay, so let's create a configuration class. I'll name it as config. Let's annotate it as configuration. Okay, we need to create a queue, so we'll create a MQP queue, and we will name it as electronics queue. Okay, and we will return it as return new queue. Okay, we'll name it as electronics. Okay, and we'll mark this as a Spring Bean. In the same way we'll create all the three queues. Okay, so queues are done. It was that easy. Now we will create the header exchange and we'll create the bindings. So for the bindings we need to use this header parameter. Okay, let's create an exchange. We'll create a header exchange. Let's name it as exchange. Okay, and it will return us new of header exchange. Name it as header exchange. Okay, now we'll mark this also as a Spring Bean, and now we'll create the binding. Okay, so we need to return the binding object. Binding, it will take two parameters. One is the header exchange and the queues. Okay, sorry, this not this queue. So we need to bind all these three queues. Okay, first let's bind the electronics queue. Okay, now if you see over here, now we are binding with these values, right? And I told you we have something called x match any, x match all, these all things, and these are the two values. So for that we will create a map. So we'll create a map. Okay, it will take string and object. Okay, we'll create a normal hash map. Okay, so sorry, I forgot new. Okay, now we will put our data. So we will put these two values, value 1 and value 2. I'll tell you how to add this. Okay, first we will add these two values. So let's add it. Value 1, and it is electronics. Yes. Garments. Okay, so okay, sorry, it should be object. Okay, now we need to return the binding, right? So we will use binding builder for that. Dot bind, so it is taking a queue, so I'll put the electronics queue. Now to the exchange type, right? So we'll put the header exchange. Now dot, you see here with you can put where all or where any. So for the first one we have any, so let's put where any. Okay, and we'll give this map as a parameter. Now dot match. So this is it. So we now created a binding with electronics queue with this header exchange with the help of this header, right? Now let's do in the same way this garments as well. So it is taking two values, that is men's and garments. Let's copy paste this. So we need to mark this as spring bean. Now we'll just paste this. So instead of electronics queue, we'll use food queue. Okay. And in the same way, we will just paste this, and we need to use this garments queue for this. Okay, so we need to create binding 2. This is binding 3. Okay, so we resolve. So for this it is men's, so we will just change for garments. So it is men's, right? And it is for any. Now for the food we have match all, and the value one is electronics, the second one is food. So if you see here, first one is electronics, second one is food, and instead of where any, we'll just give where all. Okay, so our binding also done. We'll mark both as a spring bean. Now we need to add the message converter to deal with the objects rather than just bytes array. Okay, so we need to have a message converter. So it will give us converter. Okay, return new Jackson to JSON message converter. So I have already shown you in the previous videos why we use this converter specifically. Now we need to add this to our AMQP template, right? So that it can be, so that we can use this converter specifically in our AMQP. Okay, we'll just add AMQP. It will take connection factory. Okay, now we'll create Rabbit template. Let's name it properly. Rabbit template. It will take connection factory, and now we will add this message converter. Okay, so just add the converter, and now we can return the Rabbit template. Okay, and now mark this as well as spring bean. So our configurations are done. Okay, so these are our configurations. Now we will create our producer. Now let's create our model, create our message, and it will take 3 things. Okay, this routing key, exchange, and custom message. Now we need to create our custom message as well. Now we'll create our custom message. So it will take text and the quantity. Now we'll have all args constructor, no args constructor, accurate data. Okay, we'll just copy it and paste. So our model is also ready. So this custom message is the message we will pass to and fro. Okay, now we'll go back to the controller. So this is our message. Now to give the message, to send the message, if you see here, we need to pass this header, right? So to create this header, we use something called message properties. Okay, let's go back. So I'll show you. So we have something called message properties. You just need to create a new message property. So the thing is that we can pass these properties in the model as well, but for now, for simplicity purpose, I'm just adding it here. So you can pass this to your request body, and then it will traverse according to that, right? So we are just taking it as an example for only one property, so we will just add it here. Okay, now we need to set header, the key and value. Now if you see, the key is value 1 and electronics is the value. Okay, now let's add value 1. Okay, now the second one is value 2 and it is garments, right? So step 1 is done, and the step 2 is we need to bind these two and create the message. So we will use this AMQP message. No, so how we need to do that? So we need to use the message converter to send it. Okay, so I'll just auto wire my message converter. So we already have message converter, right? So we'll just use this. So so the first one, it will take the object, and second one the message property. So what is the object? So object is the exact message what we are using. Okay, so now we can use this object from this message. So from the message body we have custom message, right? So you can just get the message, and this is the property. Okay, so these two steps are only extra, and now as normally what you have learned, we need to inject first the rabbit template. We'll use rabbit template dot convert and send. So we need to use the exchange. Now there is no routing key concept over here because we have just added everything in one message. So we'll just add the message one. So this is it. So we are done. We have created our producer, we have created our header exchange, we have binded with the messages, and we have created the queues as well. Okay, now these part is ready and we can test it out. So I'll just start my application. So it is started successfully. Now we will go and we'll see the current status of our RabbitMQ management. So now if you see, there is topic exchange and the previous exchanges available over here. I'll just refresh it. Okay, now if you come to here, there are no messages, right? Now if we go to our postman, so I have added in the postman, the routing key is empty, the exchange type is header, and we are sending this as a MacBook 100. Okay, can make it as 600 as well. Let's send it. So we got the success. Now if we go back, so if you see here, now we got in the electronics and in the garments, right? Like I have showed you, since it is matching only to these two because matches any. So any of the value in these two, if matches with this, which is matching both in this case, but if any of it is matching, so it will navigate to this. So message will be navigated to this queue, right, which is doing its purpose. Now in the second one, it can match any. So for the first value is not matching with any of the values, but the second one is matching, so it navigated to this, right? Now in the third one, we have food and electronics, and both should match with the header value, which is not there. So food will not receive the data, which is in this case. Now if we go back, let's get the message. Now we are able to get the message over here, right? Okay, now if we purge this, let's remove the data, and we can come over here. We purge the data over here, and now we create the consumer. Okay, we'll mark it as at the red component so that it will be scanned. Okay, now, so I have already told you that consumer is only related to the queues. It only bothers about the queues. It handles and talks to only the queues, right? So if we come here, so let's create the consumer. I'll create 3 consumer for the 3 queues, right? We just need to add one annotation. Sorry, void. We just need to add one annotation, that is rabbit listener. And since it only bothers about the queues, we just need to add the queue name, electronics. Okay, now it will receive the message. For what message? So the to and fro communication what we are doing with this custom message, so we will receive this message. Okay, so add message. Let's add a print statement. So let's print this custom message as well. Okay, let's create 2 more consumer. Good. Okay, so our listeners are also ready. Let's restart our application. Okay, now we will send from postman. Suppose it will be washing machine with 1,000 units. We got a success. See over here. So we got the data in the electronics and the garments queue, right? So that's it for this video. If you have any question, you can comment. And with this, we have completed the whole course for the RabbitMQ. If you have any questions, you can post. Thank you.